What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and welcome to what is probably going to be the last free agency frenzy type video because the final needle has dropped. The last big name free agent has signed, in my opinion, but I mean, we'll still probably have Eagles videos if they do continue to bring some players in. Before we get into that, I just want to promote that later on today, there's going to be a Cleveland Browns new realistic rebuild, obviously with a bunch of the new additions. You got Kareem Hunt, you got Odell Beckham Jr., you got Sheldon Richardson, just to name a few. And there's probably going to be a couple more realistic rebuilds coming based upon the free agency moves. Like, I know people want to see the Raiders, the Jets, the Steelers, the Giants, like teams on the inverse. That's probably going to be it, though. I don't want to do a bunch of different teams because I want, when we get to Madden 20, it to feel somewhat special. I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, I kind of already did like a Madden 20, but Madden 19 rebuild with a bunch of these new fresh players. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why I'm putting that in is not just to plug the Browns video that's coming out later, but leave a comment in the comment section below, as well as feedback on this trade about what team you want to see after the Browns in a realistic rebuild that's been updated post-free agency. So we are here to talk about Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas has gone to the Baltimore Ravens 4 years, $55 million. Not exactly the spot I thought he would go. I'm actually still shocked that the Indianapolis Colts, with all that salary cap, with all the ambition they should show, with a need, not a massive need, but definitely still a need to a player of Earl Thomas's caliber at safety, have done nothing. They have overpaid for Devin Funchess, and that's it. So I'm absolutely shocked. I thought for sure we're going to see Earl Thomas either go to the Niners or to the Colts, and he comes out of nowhere, goes to the Baltimore Ravens. It makes sense because the Baltimore Ravens have got absolutely pillaged on the defensive side of the ball. T. Sizzle's gone. Zadarius Smith's gone. Eric Weddle's gone. I assume C.J. Mosley's gone, and the Ravens have a really good scheme. They have drafted well during the Ozzie Newsome era to replace these players. Now it's a new regime. We don't know what they're gonna do. You're probably gonna draft 9 tight ends. Memes. But Earl Thomas going to ball. I mean, I like that as a fit. To be completely honest with you, it's not a fit that I thought I would make, but it makes sense. I mean, obviously he's going to come in and step in for Eric Weddle. The Ravens had some money to spend. I mean, Ravens have always had just high-level safety play. Obviously, you go all the way back to Ed Reed. Even a little bit before that, they had Rod Woodson there for a little bit. So, I mean, Earl Thomas in purple is nice. He's going to be pairing with Tony Jefferson. That's a pretty damn good safety combination. Is it enough to kind of mask over the purge, if you will, of the Ravens defense? Like, are the Ravens defense with this one move going to be that much better? Is this going to smooth over all of the other losses that the Baltimore Ravens have accrued this offseason? I don't know, but you still should get somewhat excited. You still, now it almost feels like in my last mock draft, I had the Baltimore Ravens going Garrett Bradbury, center. That makes sense, but now it seems they are going to be going pretty heavy on the defensive side of things, and that, there's some players, there's some fits that they can help out, and there's also a lot of ambition that they can develop players, like they've developed players in the past, guys that they've spent high-round draft picks on, that now are going to have an opportunity to try and excel in that scheme. Get Tim Williams, outside linebacker, Tyus Bowser, outside linebacker. We've seen, Matt Judon and Onwuasor, probably butchered that name, but he's really good. Probably should learn how to pronounce it properly because he's real good. Those guys have come out of nowhere and played very, very high-level football. Same with Brandon Williams, and you got Michael Pierce. Like, where are these guys coming from that continually succeed in Baltimore? So because we've seen a long track record of success, I mean, look at the picks. Look at the rounds that some of these guys that have gone on to make money came from. Zadarius Smith was a 4th-round pick. You got Michael Pierce, undrafted free agent. Brandon Williams was a 3rd-round pick. Yeah, Willie Henry, 4th-round pick. Like, these mid-round values, I feel confident. If you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, I feel confident as a neutral fan that they will get the job done in defense. And it was just like, you always just feel like out of nowhere, it's like, oh, the Baltimore Ravens select this guy, this defender, this linebacker, this someone in the front 7 from some college you probably never heard of. You just know they're gotta be good. So I think if it starts with Earl Thomas at the back end, and then you look towards the front end to complete during the draft, I mean, you should have some confidence. I guess because of the uncertainty, it's no more Ozzie Newsome. You got, I don't even know I can't remember the dude's name. It sounds like some sort of mafia guy. Hope that he could do well. You got, pick 23, you're in the low 20s. You'll have an opportunity to maybe get an outside linebacker if you don't want to gamble on Tim Williams and Tyus Bowser. You could go interior. Find a linebacker partner there with Onwuasor. Hey, buddy. Hey, Patrick. Get an easier name to pronounce. But you got Kenny Young from UCLA. Was a 4th-round pick last year. Maybe they expect him. You got Bam Bradley. He could be an interesting option. But I do feel like now I'm kind of confident in saying I feel like they will go on the defensive side now in the 1st round. But ultimately, we're bringing it right back to Earl Thomas. It's a great move. It's a great move. He's got paired with Tony Jefferson. I think that they got nice little tandem there. You may be able to get some extra development. A guy like Earl Thomas, he's going to rub off on other players. You might see Deshaun Elliott, 6th-round pick out of Texas last year in 2018. He might get better. But Earl Thomas is the kind of guy that makes your cornerbacks better. So you're probably going to see better play, more development out of Marlon Humphrey, Tavon Young, some of these younger corners. Jalen Hill was a stud in preseason a couple of years ago. You had Anthony Everett, a 4th-round pick last year of Alabama. So, I mean, it's a good move. It's a good move. It's not a move that I thought. And ultimately, I don't want to make this a video not talking about the Baltimore Ravens, but I am actually shocked that the Indianapolis Colts are doing nothing. You have all that salary cap, and these guys are the kind of players that can take you over the edge. And I get the point of not spending money for the sake of not spending money, but they are being incredibly frugal at this point in time with some of the players that have gone. And not really, though, with Devin Funchess, who's done nothing in his career to warrant getting paid anywhere near wide receiver 1 money, which is kind of what he is on this 1 year. Isn't like upwards of $14 million. Like, that is disgusting. That is a disgusting contract. So, one thing I would keep an eye on, just some rumblings, and no, there's no official. It's just kind of what my gut's saying. If I'm a Colt fan, maybe Nelson Aguilar could be available from the Eagles. Frank Reich knows how to use them. That's something that could be something out there. And he probably would be a nice little get for your offense, but I don't really know. That's with them. Basically, Philly has 3 hours to decide what they're going to do with Nelson Aguilar at that $9.7 million cap hit. I feel like they're not going to keep him, so the Colts could be a potential landing spot there. But Earl Thomas is a Baltimore Raven. Congrats to the Baltimore Ravens. Everyone knows I am a Lamar Jackson truther, so I always like watching the Ravens play. So, oh shit. Baltimore Ravens get another signing. Signed Mark Ingram to a 3-year, $15 million deal. Congrats! They saw what the Cleveland Browns were doing with Odell and getting Sheldon Richardson and all these guys, and they went, we got to do a little bit of business ourselves. I like it. I mean, they got rid of Alex Collins because he didn't get arrested and his contract was pretty much up or something roughly around those terms. They get Mark Ingram. They get a guy that, up there in age a little bit, but I mean, Baltimore has seen some success with older running backs. I remember, they got Willis McGahee, who's kind of old. They got a lot of production out of him. So, I mean, Mark Ingram's not that old. He's had a lot of production with the Saints. I mean, I still think now you have some questions about, just in general, the Baltimore Ravens offensive line. But, you got 3 out of 5, you like to think, on the offensive line. You got Stanley, you got Orlando Brown, you got Yonda for, another year or so. But hey, Mark Ingram, that's a nice move there. Not overpaying for a running back. I think that's kind of what, if you're a Baltimore Raven fan, or you're really, you like to think you're a high IQ Raven fan, that's kind of, the out that you get from having a player like Lamar Jackson is you can kind of go cheap on running back. You saw production with guys like Gus Edwards and stuff. It's because teams have to design plays and schemes to stop Lamar Jackson first, which opens things up for your running back. So it kind of gives you the luxury of not having to bring in a superstar, very expensive running back, because Lamar Jackson, by just being on the field, is going to help alleviate some of the pressure and make life easier for a running back in general. Therefore, don't need to spend a whole lot of money. Therefore, you saw Gus Edwards, who's getting paid like $30 in a Dairy Queen coupon to play for the Ravens last year, have a pretty nice year. So getting a guy like Mark Ingram on a reasonable deal, not overpaying for him, a guy that definitely has a high ceiling, higher ceiling, more so than like a Gus Edwards, that's good business. That is good business, Baltimore. Earl Thomas, Mark Ingram, congrats on winning. What a day is today? Tuesday? Wednesday? Congrats on winning Wednesday. Congrats on winning the official start of free agency. So what does that mean? I mean, who's still left out there that can go? Maybe Ndamukong Suh. He's probably a big name that, still could land somewhere interesting. You got Tevin Coleman and Golden Tate. A couple, you're getting to the second tier of players. So, there's still some moves that could be made. Again, for Baltimore, maybe keep looking to get some discounts on the defensive side, I guess, if you want to keep spending in free agency. But Mark Ingram is definitely an all-right signing. So that does it for me right now, guys. I'm going to go try and finish this Cleveland Browns Odell Beckham. We'll call it the OBJ rebuild for the Cleveland Browns. But again, as I stated before, please let me know in the comments, what teams do you want to see? I want to try to limit to 5, maybe 5 rebuilds. So we got the Browns for sure. We got the Jets for sure. We got the Raiders for sure. And then I'm kind of thinking, those are the 3 teams that have had like positive moves in the offseason. And I'm trying to think like from a rebuilding standpoint. I mean, the Giants and the Steelers seem like the 2 biggest ones, but definitely I'm a man of the people. I like to go with what you guys like to suggest. So feel free to leave that feedback in the comment section below. Shout out to the Ravens fans. Big day for you guys. As always, your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.